Delighted to be here. And it's been wonderful to be here with you for these sessions. Again, our last class, thank you so much for joining. And thank you again to Shanti Davis Center and wonderful Sunny for hosting. And thanks for all of you. And I hope it's worthwhile, that it's been helpful for you. So let's take a moment to think about our motivation and just give ourselves a little pause right now with some meditation. So just find that comfortable, nice extension of your spine, nice comfortable place for your body. And it's nice to have this moment wherever you are in the country, but in your day, to have a pause. And you can actually do this at different times of your day. So a lot of people have a section of day they're maybe working continually at something. But you can even break that up into periods. A lot of people now, if you're in front of a computer a lot, we've known this for some years, is you get up and stretch and move around. And so it's the same thing with your mind. You want to orient your mind and keep it moving in a positive direction, and then simply becoming aware when it's shifted out of that zone. So if you'd like to just lightly close your eyes. And spend a couple minutes now with your body, checking your body. How's your body feeling right now? Is there any tightness you're noticing? Can you just use your breath to shift that tightness and just relax that area while you keep a normal, natural breath moving? And slowly as you can, let that tension release as much as possible. And now shift the energy to your mood right now, your attitude. How's your mind right now? Can you gently look at however it is? We're just observing. You may observe it's less than a positive experience. In a more detached way, you're just looking right now. You might note, oh, there's some depression arising. There's a big bubble of anxiety. there's a lot of anger, pride. You're just noticing if it's less than generous. Maybe you feel really spacious. Again, not getting too attached to that. You're simply noticing that. And whatever it is, you let go. So we don't want to get too attached to the spacious qualities. I simply notice. You inhale, you exhale. And just be with what is. Just be with what is showing up. If it's something less than generous, I'd like you to have a look at it right now, or figure out a time this past week or the past couple of weeks when you felt out of balance, or you noticed this experience in your mind a bit more than you wanted, however you're labeling it. So again, let's just be with it for a moment. It's uncomfortable. And you just notice that. And you inhale, and you exhale. Can you count 5 seconds per inhalation, 5 to 6 seconds per exhalation? So you're not breathing more deeply, slowing down your breath and just being with this experience in your mind. So if you're noticing a good quality, we can enhance that in setting our motivation. If you're noticing a lesser quality, we can shift that in setting a motivation. So take a moment right now to set your motivation for our time together. Some of you have set a motivation earlier in your day. This is simply reestablishing, and this is about reestablishing positive balance for the mind. That's all we're doing. And again, in this tradition, if you want to add that and take it a bit further, we really want to help all beings. When I take the focus onto helping as many beings as possible, a lot of the negative and discomfort goes away in my mind. You have to check that yourself. But the best way we can do that and manifest that, benefiting all beings, is to reach a fully awakened consciousness, to attain that Buddhahood. So if that's something you want to direct your energy to, wonderful. The real purpose being to benefit all living beings, or whatever best helps you to find that positive balance for your mind right now. Please set that intention. And so let's check our minds again. Check what negative experiences you're either experiencing now when you look at your mind, or something that happened the past week or two. You got hooked in a rumination, negative cycling of the mind. Something didn't go your way. Somebody rubbed up against you in a way that wasn't comfortable for you by either saying something to you, doing some action. Just notice whatever happened. Maybe it wasn't a person. Maybe your car broke down. Just notice right now. Just put yourself back in the situation. Maybe it's just a habit that you do regularly. Just have a look for a moment again, gently, in as detached a manner as possible. You're observing. When this situation arises, so look at your past week or two, or look at the habit. Notice, how do you cope? Just be honest with yourself. What do you do? What have you been doing about it? Notice also your thinking. Do you think about it? Do you overthink about it after the incident took place? Do you process what happened with others? Who do you choose to process it with? How do you relay the experience to them? Just have a look at these things. How do you really manage the challenges, the discomfort? Do you notice any habits of sabotaging yourself again and again? Meaning you're reaching for the wrong food in the coping, you talk to the wrong person, allowing that rumination in the mind to go on and on in a negative trajectory? Were you able to implement a new, healthier behavior? Just notice what happened. Maybe it's a mix of all that. What healthier behaviors did take place? Just look at what kind of self-care activities were you able to implement if you were able to? And how did they work? And if you got pulled into overthinking, ruminating about a situation, just notice the turning of your mind through the problem. Notice the cyclical pattern and the trench it creates to go back over the thought again and again. Right now, can you just take a moment and just label that thinking? That's all it is. Just label it thinking and move on to another thought. It's just thinking. Change the direction of the thought. Go on to a more positive thought. Replace it with a more positive thought as soon as you can. Just try that for a moment. And can you generate right now in your mind, in your heart, make a commitment to yourself as best as you can in the coming weeks in the coming year, as best as I can, I'm going to work on the negative rumination to replace with more positive thinking. I'm really going to exercise that. Put it into your own words. And you might even feel, I'm going to have a look at those thoughts. I'm going to have a little bit more realistic relationship with those thoughts, meaning they're just thoughts. It's interesting how we place a degree of heaviness on certain thoughts, and other thoughts we don't pay attention to that we should. Could be helpful. So again, make that dedication in your heart. If you like, this is what I'm going to work on. And let's add an and choosing as much as possible when appropriate, self-care exercises that will best support me in the work. So please relax. When you're ready, please open your eyes. So I just wanted to check in with you from that meditation. And please just keep doing it. You can continue to do it. But how the past couple weeks has gone, or perhaps since we started this series, are you noticing any changes? Are you able to implement some of the techniques, the exercises, storing it for later? Any changes in your easing up some of the pain of life like that? Any comments? What's working? What's not working?
Um,
Thank you, Mary.
Hi. I've had this, I really need to thank you. And I've had this wonderful continuity since last year, listening to Miffy talk about anxiety and depression. And it just kind of flowed into this year with you, because last year I decided, I used to listen to her constantly say, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And last year I had extreme anxiety. I have a pretty bad heart disease problem. So some of it is high blood pressure that I can manage on medication, but some I have to wait until the medicine works and my mind takes over and I become just crazy a little bit. So last year I started practicing with that, and then flow into having a few classes with you. And I actually started to use it for anger and resentment, and took it a step further and put in, can even put in the name of the person who used to make me so angry, or it could be petty antics, whatever it is. But I started making that prayer, not just for everyone, but for specifically a person that would give me a problem. And it almost automatically goes away. And then I am ending. I know I'm rambling on, but I was very excited because then, no coinky dinks, I was looking at a book review and I found this book that it's 2022, Lama Zopa. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the
I
power
can't
of the.
see you. You have no light on you, so I can't see you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's very
It's
dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. It's the power of the mantra. I'll get up and I'll try putting the light on now. I'm in another room because the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi is better. But it's a book on the power of mantra. And so for me, everything that you've been talking about, it's just been Shanti Diva for me. It's just been a wonderful continuity, and it all makes sense. And even the tiniest little practice of like an Om Mani and reading this book, telling me the benefits of it, and knowing that the Buddha says, don't accept things, try it, see if you like it, see if you don't like it. And anything I've tried so far has been so helpful and so useful. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, no, I'm glad it works. And thank you. And so here's the thing about what Mary's mentioning. Rinpoche has a book on mantras. We hear about the word mantra. It's something you often, they're prayers you recite on your rosary, on a mala. You count, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. You see people do that all the time at Buddhist centers. And so mantra, many of you are familiar, but mantra means mind protection, mind protection. So again, prayers, reciting sacred sayings has a protection for the mind. And what happens is the negative ruminating mind, as many of you know, you start turning through all these negative words. I'm not good enough. He's going to get me. That woman's terrible. He's this. You invent stories, and a lot of those stories are not accurate. There is from your side, a certain perspective that has some validity, but it's not the whole truth. But we dive in wholeheartedly like it is. That's the problem, right? And then you start labeling and talking and saying it's like this and it's like that. And then it solidifies those words. So when I think of mantra and mind protection, and I think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama talk about mental immunity. These are two words he puts together, mental immunity. It's fantastic. So any exercise, it can be Buddhist, it doesn't have to be Buddhist, but something, and here's again, just a few that I just mentioned while we got into the meditation, but mental rumination, for one, in a negative way, look at what it does when your mind's in it. So many people now I know suffering from anxiety and depression, and I'll talk with them, I'll discuss with them. Okay, tell me right now, what's the major worry? What's the fear? Like describe it to me. And then I see the turning in the trench, like making the trench deeper, making the thought more solidified. And we do that all the time, right? And partly what happens is the reason we do it is we solidify our entire existence, right? You look back there, book, solid tanka, bed, lights, all these kind of things. And certain things take up more space in our thing. Certain people take up more space. So this is a whole bigger looking at reality, as we've been talking about emptiness as well, a stepping back, seeing a little bit of the bigger picture rather than, because the ruminating mind goes into this little me, mine, they threaten me, they did this, so again, let's just, because it happens to a lot of people, let's watch it, gently watch it. Can I gently watch it and go, well, oh, there's my anxiety again. There's my anger. There's my fear. There. Can I note that it comes from confusion, right? Fundamental ignorance. Can I just note that? I'm not letting it triple myself, but I'm an ordinary being. That means I'm subject to fundamental ignorance. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a dismantling for you of how I think about things. Just because I'm a nun doesn't mean I don't get annoyed or I don't have fear. Saturday night, 12:14 a.m., it was really Sunday morning, but I went to bed and I'm lying in bed and there's two giant gun blasts in this valley out here, like major gunshot, but very, very loud. And, we had some break-ins last year and we've had some issues and there's a bit of crime here in this area, Santa Cruz County. And but I hear these blasts and I'm lying in bed and it's not what I wanted to hear. You know what I mean? It wasn't the angels singing, okay? But you hear this, and this happens all over. I mean, those of you that live in New York City, God bless, right? You always hear sirens, But I heard this, and the thing is, then I'm lying there, and I noticed. So I notice. Number one, notice. I didn't react. I noticed, and I was like, oh, body got, there's a little bit of a start, and then I go, oh, and then from that start, and this is really powerful, and this happened to me on the retreat a couple of years ago. The I comes up really big. The sense of myself rises, like I'm like, could it be here? Could it be somewhere near? Could it? And so grab that I, because that's the object of negation in emptiness meditation. And sometimes you need a jolt to find it. Sometimes you need a jolt to find it. And one night, so a couple of years ago, I was in a retreat at my parents' house where I was living at the time, outside Philadelphia. There's a woods behind the house. Through the woods is the junior high school. And what happens is it was coming out of winter, so no leaves on the trees, so you get a better shot of the building. It's quite a distance away, but a better shot of the building. And what happens is the sound carries more from the building. And at the time, the local kids in the area didn't really have a place to hang out because the new high school was under construction. So where they would congregate at the high school in different areas, they didn't have that place to go as a construction site. It was all fenced off. So they were hanging out on a deck behind the junior high school, which was on the other side of the woods. And I would hear them on a Friday and Saturday night really loudly. And then they were running through the woods. So I'm trying to do, honestly, an emptiness meditation. And I was there, and I was a little bit I heard some voices, and I was a little bit trying off my subject, off kind of the object. And I was a little bit distracted thinking about, is there somebody in the backyard? And somehow I heard people nearby, and I think I got up to look out the window, and I saw people like behind the house, which is unusual, right? And then I went back to sit, and the I was really present. Like, it really stunned me into this, which was actually very, very helpful. Okay, so can you use it in the right, appropriate way? It doesn't mean be in danger. It doesn't mean be in danger. It's more like pay attention if you need to get to a safe thing. But I knew I was safe, and I knew this, like, on one level intellectually, I know it's the kids and they don't have a place to hang out, and they came here and they went through the woods a little bit far, and they came out, and our backyard isn't fenced in, so they come up. But the jolt I got was really helpful in the meditation. There's always a reframing. There's always a reframing. How I can turn it into something positive. As long as you're clear, you're safe. As long as you're clear, you're not harming anyone. No one's harming, but use it for that, because you need to get that sense of the I, because the I is ruminating. The I is hanging on because it thinks it's really dominant. It's really important. I need to preserve this. You interfered with this. You harmed this. You hurt this person I loved. You are this. It's always around that I, and you need to get a sense of it. And then the activity. So here I am lying in bed now. Let's fast forward to Saturday night. And I'm lying there, and then I went, whoa, there's the I. Okay, how does the I exist? I just right away start analyzing. Why? Because I'm used to doing that. And why? Because it's so helpful. I'm sorry, but it is so helpful, because immediately I could stay with, oh my God, are they in the woods? Are they, and let the shock and the fear, and why does shock and fear go that way of those kind of thoughts for some people, but you start overthinking. Are they here? Are they in the valley? I don't know. There's a cross, and I think a car went by, is because you're patterned to do it because you've heard other people do that. You have conditioning. So you hear them go, oh my God, and then you, like that. There were some people in my life I grew up with that's what they would do. They'd start with the OMG, oh my God. And it goes from there. So there I was in bed, and there was a little, I note just from back, OMG. And then I went, okay, well, there's the I. Okay, so what's happening with the I? The I feels threatened. Okay. And then what I started to do is just deal with the thoughts that are circling around. There is this valley here. There's cars that go on that side, right? Those gunshots, there's no way of telling where they are. There's absolutely no way it could have been quite far up in a different road. You need to know where it is if you're going to report it. So I'm already like, well, there's no way to report it because I don't know where it is. It's not like outside the door. It wasn't like that. It was distance, but very, very loud, right? So then I'm thinking, and here's the other thing. Can you think about others in that moment? The I doesn't want you to. The I is right here, like me. So then I went, I hope everybody here is, like, immediate turn, I hope everyone here is safe and will remain safe for all time. And I hope everybody in the area is safe. And maybe there people are just at a party and they're shooting off some firecrackers, or they're at some kind of shooting practice, which some people do in the area, and just so I went through a different analysis of there's that, and I feel protected here by Rinpoche and Lama personally. I'm in a Buddhist center, and I feel protected. I feel somewhat protected as a nun. And, I just kind of went through that, like, and then I went through, I'm going to die at some point. It could be really, really soon. Could be tomorrow, and maybe if my karma dictates that somebody's going to come here and shoot me and I'm going to die, well, that's what's going to happen. Now, I might try to get out of the way of that if I see somebody coming. I might try to protect somebody else if I think I could, and I see somebody coming to attack them. Like, these are all the different options, but basically, there's not much more I can do about it. There wasn't much more I could do about it. 12:14 a.m., Saturday night, whatever. And then it just subsided because I didn't spend the time, oh my God, when they're there, what is that? Should I get up? Do I need to, and fortunately it stopped. It didn't go on, but that was all I could really do. That's all I chose to do at that moment. I could get up and get dressed and go, I need to go out and investigate. Well, that's something you can do. If you feel there are things that, at times something closer to the house where I went, I need to check, I remember at one of the centers in the dry season in California, we would see smoke. If I smelled smoke or thought I saw smoke, I would investigate as much as I could and let other people know, because it's super dangerous here in the dry season. So do everybody with me of, like, we want to take what I'm going to call, we want to take Bodhisattva action as much as we can, right? So again, I'm reframing thinking about others. I'm protecting myself in a very realistic way. I'm just going to rationally, do I need to protect myself? What can I do? But what I'm trying to do is short circuit the negative rumination that contributes to anxiety, fear, depression, hostility, attachment, that, and I'll notice it starting, and then I'll go, okay, and then I might even say, the thought may turn around again and go a third time in the trench, and a third time, fourth time. And then suddenly, because I'm used to doing this, I'll say, thinking, period. And then on to a different type of thinking. It's simply thinking. There's a whole variety of ways we think, right? It's simply thinking, I'm moving on. I'm moving on, because there's no benefit in me lying there in bed creating more anxiety. Why do we want to create more anxiety in the world? Why do we want to create more fear, more hostility, more pain, more attachment, more pride, more jealousy, right? There's enough of that going on, but sometimes it comes out of us, it oozes out of us. Okay, that's normal experience for a normal person, but we work on it. So does that make sense? Like, what we can do, and what I'd really love you to try to do as much as you can. And then when it doesn't work, don't beat yourself up. You're a human being. If your friend, if it wasn't working for your friend, you'd go, well, let's try another technique. Like, you're okay. Like, let's be gentle with ourselves as well. How many of you have reached for, in your pain and suffering of the last 2 weeks, let's say, and I'm talking about lighter levels, heavier levels, how many have you found some implementation of self-care? Positive, balanced self-care. Yeah, Linda, great. Some people working. How many is it still not happening? You're still a little stuck. Nobody wants to admit. But I hope you can find, really, it's really important to get some self-care. Figure out, first of all, what is your self-care? What do you like to do? What works for you? Exercise, a hot bath, hanging out with friends, having a cup of coffee, eating good chocolate. What's your watching a video? What is that? And then can you balance it where you're not overindulging in it, but it's there and the perfect break for you when you're feeling like I'm kind of done right now. I need a little care for myself. So you want to get some healthy patterns in there as well. Like, I noticed the other day, something got a bit off balance, and what did I do? I reached for a comfort food. Like I decided to just eat that. I'm just going to make this little pot of this for now. That doesn't really benefit me. It wasn't really the thing I wanted. I should have eaten, but I made the decision. I looked at it. I said, this isn't the best thing for you to eat, but that was a decision I made and I ate it and it was okay. It was okay. It was really good when I was eating it like that. So sometimes there is things, but you don't want to, I know for me, I don't want to do that too often because, my stomach will start hurting or I just won't feel good from it or something like that. So do find a balance when you're, you eat the ice cream cone, have the pizza. It's delicious. Just maybe don't overdo it like that. I'm not going to have an ice cream cone every day, like, or something, just because it makes me feel good. I'm going to find some other methods. So balance it out. Like people that exercise regularly, some of them I know, they change up their routine. They don't do the same thing all the time. They change it up because it uses different muscles. And so different self-care techniques are going to exercise different spaces of your consciousness. And then you can draw on those of what you need at a particular time. And this is interesting. So, and again, please, if you can get the meditation component going, because there I was in retreat when I heard the kids' voices 2 years ago at the house, Friday night, it's dark out, and I hear these voices. Now, fortunately, I have neighbors nearby that I trust, right? But first I hear the voices and I don't really want to bother the neighbors, it was like 8 or 9 at night, which I could have bothered them, but it's getting on a little bit of the late edge. So the voices, so I determined what was the kids, Friday night, they're hanging out, that's the nights they would, and then what did I need to do? I needed to go back to my meditation session and I rolled it right into my emptiness meditation because the I was so strong. It was so powerful at the time. So that for me, that was, I already had experience. So I was like, oh, let's go, let's use this right now. Perfect. Rather than me interrupting and going, I think I'll go downstairs and have something to eat. No, I'm like, I'm in a session. I don't need to interrupt. Let me go back into the session. And it's usually the sessions for me, the meditation. Once you get more comfortable with meditation, once you feel more that's a comfort zone, then there's strength in that place for you. And you take refuge there and you find, so sometimes you're building it into your meditation sessions and using it. And then you're finding if that gets richer and more consistent, that becomes a big tool for you. Right. So again, a milder approach to that, a lighter approach is me in bed the other night doing a lighter meditation, like analytical meditation. Okay. Oh, there's fear. First thing that arose. And oh, there's the I. Okay, well, what's going on with the I? Okay, then what can we consciously do if there's fear and alarm and maybe there's something you need to do for yourself and others? So let me analyze. Then bing, 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 I analyze through the thoughts, just like I mentioned. And then I realize the shots have stopped. Okay, they didn't sound like right next door. So I decided nothing more I'm going to do about it. I'm not going to get up now and, like that, unless somebody was knocking on the door. Nobody was. So I'm done. I'm going to go back and then, whatever else I was analyzing to rebalance the mind. So again, this is more of what we were talking about last week. And I mentioned I mentioned those 3 components. If you really want to break down your practice, 3 simple components, okay? You notice a certain behavior. I mentioned this last time. You notice a certain behavior, right? Possibly not working for you. Certain thinking, a certain action. Something comes out of your mouth. It's not beneficial, okay? Step number 2. So first is just awareness. I'm just noticing. I'm observing my mind. I'm observing the rumination. I'm observing the fear. I'm observing the spaciousness, like that. Number 2, if it's something that's not working, I'm going to apply a method. Basically, I'm going to try to do something different than I've been doing. Like whatever the negative part is happening right now, I don't want to continue that. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to think differently right now. I will act differently if I need to, if it's an action. Or I'm going to try to figure out something different to say with my speech. I'm going to exercise that. And if I find that that works, that there's more peace, more harmony, the person across from me is happier, that it just feels, you get the sense in your core, right? It's better, right? The exercise is, I'm going to do it again. That's step number 3. I'm going to do it again. Practice. I'm going to do it again. The positive behavior, the unhinging, unclinging, ungrasping. I'm going to do it again. The reorientation of the balance. Do it again until it becomes automatic. 3 simple steps like that. So in that process, some things I wanted to read is inner strength is available to us, okay? And especially just the moment you hit bottom, when you think it's not, okay? It's always there. When things are at their worst, there is the possibility of a breakthrough if you allow it. And it's hard because sometimes we're clenched, we're right, I'm not admitting that this guy was, we're right, we're going to prove our point, or we're crippled up in depression and fear, or I'm just utterly confused or totally attached, like that. In those moments, there's great insight, okay? And so here's what happens. So instead of asking yourself, and this is what we do, how can I find security and happiness? How can I find security and happiness? Okay. And this is what happens. And I'm exploring something here at the center that's really cute is, and I've asked some of you this before, your relationship with change. How's everybody doing with change? The C word. Are you pretty good with it? Most people are not. Well, I know people that go, oh yeah, I'm great. And then something changes and they're just totally bent out of shape. Right. I myself have been really working with it. And there's times I clench and go, oh, it needs to be. And then I realize there is nothing to hang on to. And if you really want to get a sense of that, come and work at Land of Medicine Buddha. Right. And I don't mean it in a bad way because our center has a very sweet core right now, a very dedicated staff we've been able to put together. They're wonderful people. We're right on the verge of like a new direction. It's a very exciting time, actually. I'm very excited. And there's a few things coming together, but again, it may not happen. And I realize, you know what? The karma is so intricate with all of our centers and all of us, period, on the planet, that you can get everything right together and then suddenly it goes off into another. And I've seen it many times at other centers. And so it's funny because I'll get some idea like this will be great. Oh, that meeting was really good. And this, and then it's often, so it's a great exercise for me. And just every day I wake up and I'm just let go. And if there is a good meeting, I'll be like, well, that's a great meeting? And I cannot have any more attachment to it than that, of thinking the next meeting will be good. I rejoice and I celebrate and I go, that was a really good meeting. And whoever chaired the meeting, I make sure to say to them, thank you so much. That was really great. Did it, wonderful, really nice meeting, and let go, because you're just waltzing. But the main thing is if I keep the motivation fresh, and what I do notice in this process, and I can't stress this enough, the motivation. So again, here's the question I just asked. If you ask yourself, how can I find, you're ruminating, you're struggling, right? Things are at their worst, or just in everyday life, and you start with that thought, how can I find security and happiness? How can I find security and happiness? When you're in pain, we clench, and I'll notice myself at times clenching around something. Oh, if this will just get in place and we do this, and then, then it'll be fine, causes more pain for me. Because everything's fluid, everything's changing. Some of you may feel like, no, I know, I put my key in the apartment door, the door opens, I walk in, there's my apartment, everything is there. But I do know people where the door was broken. I was staying in Manhattan once at a place, a friend's apartment, and then the door was broken, and I'm house sitting for them, and the door won't lock, and the door does, and this happens all the time to people. The car doesn't start. Car has an accident. You go to sleep at night, park it, you come out in the morning, in San Francisco, my car was stolen once. I go up, I'm going to a yoga class. Where did I park it? No car. No part. And you know, when if any of you had your car stolen, the funny thing is, and this is in a city, so it wasn't just like where I always park it in the driveway. This is in a city where you're always parking in a different place. And you have to do a little hunting because you think, did I park it there last night or did I park it in the other spot down the street? And you start walking around your neighborhood thinking, and then, no car, it's not there. So I remember that. So you just don't really know what you're going to find. There is, and what happens for a lot of us, there's a sense of stability. There's a sense of that security, and then you get an illness. So your house is secure, but then something turns up, and this is samsara. This is the way it is. So what I find, instead of reaching for the how can I find security and happiness, how can I find, so like, again, rooted in me, clinging, security and happiness, security and happiness. Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting happiness and okay, wait. But as soon as I turn it out of like, how can I help? A lot of happiness comes from that for me, a lot of stability in my mind. A lot of peace in my mind comes from there. How can I help? How can I help? So see if you can turn, and here's the second part. You're suffering, let's say. And I don't mean big suffering. Every week we have different stuff. I didn't like the person at work. I didn't like that client. This is thing. Oh, it's pouring today again. Or we just had this, or that meeting wasn't very good. Or, I wish she could be like this. I would, wanted to be with these friends and they're going to do this and whatever it is. And then we have big things. Okay. So instead, can you ask yourself, can I touch the center of my pain? Can I touch the center of my pain? That's not something people want to do, right? It's a bit of the Buddhist way. Can I touch the center? I mean, the Buddha taught, first thing was there's suffering. Okay. If I don't want to look at the suffering, which starts with my suffering, there's no way I'm going to generate pure, authentic compassion, which is the wish that others be free of suffering. There's no way I'll have that pure, authentic compassion. It'll be superficial because I've never really explored how I suffer. So we want to think of, again, a little bit of the staying with the discomfort because it gets more comfortable if we do. It seriously does. But if I'm running from it, if I'm ruminating about it, then I'm solidifying it more, but it's changing all the time. But again, it's just simply, can I touch the center of my pain? Can I sit with suffering? Yours and mine, okay? Without trying to make it go away. Sometimes we just have to be there. Sometimes we just have to be there. This is really turning your thinking upside down, as I mentioned before. The heart of lojong or mind training things, and just see if you can make it work sometimes, because that's sometimes as good as it gets. It doesn't mean you're not going to be happy. And of course, we want to shoot for ultimate happiness. Absolutely. I always have that in mind. But number one is I keep the bodhicitta motivation forefront. How can I help? What about other beings? I wonder if anybody else is scared here. Maybe I can help them. Lifts me completely out of that solid, inherently existent I that was showing up when I got alarmed. Okay. But then the other thing is just, there's all kinds of stuff going on around the planet I just talked to a friend. She's off to her son's wedding in Texas. And I just happened to see her here. And I was a little bit like, I thought she left already. And I needed to know when she was going to get back because we're going to do an interview and I wanted to make sure she was here. And then I see her and I'm like, hi, how you doing? And I wanted to wish you well for the wedding. Have a wonderful time. And she's like, oh, we missed our plane. Like, and they went off on the one that we have this, the one unfortunate road that connects us to everything else from over here. Well, there's actually two, but that was one of the main ones you go. It's a winding mountain road and it was closed. There was an accident. So they missed their plane. So again, these things happen all the time. How are you going to deal with it? And, you can have a meltdown and yell at people and no, she's back. They're going to flight tonight. They're going to, okay, inconvenient, waste of time, whatever, it happens. There's all kinds of things. And then there's the bigger pain, a loved one is really ill. Somebody's dying. You lose your job. You're having financial issues. So can I sit with, again, the suffering, both yours and mine, without in the making it go away? I have to do something to fix it, to make it go away. Can I stay present to the ache of loss or disgrace meaning disappointment in all its many forms, right? And let it open me. That's the catch. Let it open me. Why? I'm being present with the discomfort, which pervades this entire planet and world system. That's samsara's nature. So, and if I'm there present with it, right? And if I can open to it and stay present, how much bigger I am to help support others going through this that don't have those tools. That's the key. Bodhicitta motivation, that's the key. And I'm exploring it, first of all, how it works in my own mind, for one, and then using it when I'm around others to help as much. So, and I just noticed this the other day. There was somebody I was working with, talking with, and they tend to be emotional and what's the word? Everything is a big deal. Things that I don't find are a big deal, they get, really like, oh my gosh, and this. And so I noticed this, and I could hear them in the conversation over embellishing that this experience that happened to them was, they were the only ones that went through this, and it was bigger than anybody else's experience. And it was, and it's a habit that they do it often. It's just how they are. That, and I kept kind of, they'd finish and they'd ask me a question, and I would come back and go, there's a lot of people that experience that. Like, have you ever thought about that, of all the other people? Like, to get them out of their solid experience of how important they are. But the other thing is that emotional roller coaster holds them hostage. And they're very on the up and down of, like, it's a constant, they're really on the high and everything's great. And then they call me when everything's crashing and burning. So I said, wouldn't you like to stay a little bit more even? And I find when I am even, when I'm here, I'm better able to kind of, first of all, see my own mind, what it's doing, and then be able to help others and, like, keep myself open, staying present, open. How can I help? What can I do? I'm dealing with my own stuff, and I'm able to hold that right now. And I'm noting, this is really uncomfortable. This is really painful, right? But I'm just going to remain open in it. Now, we do have experiences. For one, I want to say is, you do have experiences where sometimes you need to withdraw and close up and take care of yourself. But your wisdom is knowing when, which experiences. Knowing when and which experiences. So that I'm not constantly like, I'm only working on myself, and until my Buddha, I can't help you. That's not really the Bodhisattva way, right? But there's a bit of, you're really abused, something happens, then take the care for yourself. But in everyday life, are you a drama king or queen, and constantly, and everything has a circle around you? And that's this person I always kind of show up, and I'll go, I know, but the emotional charge, is that helping you help your roommate? Because you're caught up in his drama now. And I said, and you don't need to get caught up in somebody else's emergency. And you don't, it's not really an emergency, is it? Because emergency to me is like blood spurting out of somebody's aorta in the wrong way. That's an emergency. But a lot of these other things that we label, and lob OMG onto it, oh my God, and then it triggers other people, and those ripples go out, the OMG ripples, and that makes somebody else uncomfortable. So just think about, can I stay present when it shows up, the ache and loss, the disappointment, right? And let it open me. See what that experience is about for you in the coming weeks. So here's another one I just wanted to add, is it can also be helpful tremendously to shift our focus and look at how we put up barriers. Okay, so in these moments, we can observe how we withdraw, okay, how we become self-absorbed at times. I'm reading from some of my notes. We become, you become dry, bitter, sour, afraid. Okay, you crumble, or you become ultra hard. Nothing bothers me. I'm okay, when you're really not okay. We just have different coping mechanisms, right? You harden, you crumble out of the fear, okay, that more pain is coming, okay? So in some old familiar way, we erect the protective shield, the barrier, okay? And then Do you ever notice the self-centeredness increases? Self-centeredness, self-absorption increases in that space. Okay. But this is the very moment, this is the exact moment we could do something different. This is the trigger, step number 2, do something different. Have a few techniques at your hand. I'm going to try something different next time. Try something different. I remember like one time I was realizing, oh, I'll just exercise in my room. I don't need to go to a gym or join, but there were other triggers when I had this gap in a class or in something, then I'd have a snack. And I was like, no, why not? We're just going to have a half an hour of exercise. Right. So and it necessitated, I'd be like, oh, I don't feel like changing my clothes. Just do it. Just do it. You just have to push through those lazy moments, which a lot of us have, those lazy moments, and push through, and you just have to get to it. And you feel so much better generally. At least you tried something. You might go, well, that's not really the thing I need to do. Then you try something different. But often have a few techniques, a few things, you try something different. So again, you do something different right on the spot through practice. We can get very familiar with the barriers we put up around our hearts, around our whole being. We can become intimate with just how we hide out, how we doze off, how we freeze up. Okay. And that intimacy, coming to know these barriers so well, is our beginning of dismantling them. You know the pockets you hide in. You know the corners, the pockets you hide in. Okay. And amazingly, when you give them your full attention, they start falling apart. So first, again, awareness. I have to recognize this is what I'm doing. This is my coping mechanism, or every time this happens, I do this. Every time this happens, we just want to notice. And then the more you start to notice it, they don't hold up as much. Don't hold up as much. So slowly we work on this. And then, so what I was going to say is, let difficulty transform you. Let the difficulty transform you. Okay. It will if you let it. It will if you let it. We just need help in learning. And here's the thing, we need help in learning how not to run away. How not to run away from it. Because it's so easy to just escape. I'm out, I'm going to go back to my old coping mechanisms. That's my comfort thing, and they don't work. They don't work, So, and don't let your mind run away in the rumination is what I also mean. I'm going to escape. And we have other coping mechanisms soon as the thing gets tough. So find the healthy ones and really start implementing those. Really start implementing those. I just wanted to, I'm just looking at Pat's picture that she just put up. For some reason, it came up on because it looks like a Bodhisattva, and it just reminded me of something I'll mention in a second. Okay, she's back. It's interesting, just to interject for a moment about the picture she put up. In those of you that live in New York, or if you ever travel through New York, I do want to recommend something. I think some of you have been there. I used to take students, we used to do little outings together when I was in Philadelphia, and Shanti Davis Center, we arranged once. So we went to the Metropolitan Museum. So most of you are familiar with the Metropolitan Museum, Upper East Side, one of the greatest museums in the world, probably, even though they've plundered and looted for most of the world. Okay, we acknowledge that. So in the Asian wing, I always end up kind of gravitating the Asian wing, and in the Asian wing, you walk into this one, I think on the second floor, and there's a massive mural of the Medicine Buddha and his entourage. That's a very, very special Chinese mural. I think it's something like 13th century, like that. There are similar ones in another museum that has plundered and looted. The British Museum in London also has these similar murals and statues. But in the Met, when you go to the Metropolitan, they look at that. It's extraordinary. I brought a great Lama there once to see it. And as soon as he walked in the room and saw the mural, maybe due to his realizations, and it's very funny with lamas because they're not interested in American art museums. They don't want to see American art. They're interested in religious art. So when you say there's a museum, would Rinpoche like to go to the museum? The attendant rolled his eyes at me and was like, what's at the museum? Why? You know, and Rinpoche didn't speak English. So Rinpoche is looking at me and says to the attendant, what's she saying? What's she saying? And I can tell the attendant, he knows me well, but he doesn't want to go to the museum. So then he knew I had traveled with another great lama, and he knew that I know lamas don't like Western art. I know, I got that. But he says, so the lama says, so what's there? So I explained, and I said, there's this medicine Buddha, and there's another room that has these Bodhisattva statues, 9th to 12th century Chinese Bodhisattva statues. So I just said, look, I'm just offering, we're going to go by there, we can stop there. It's really special. I wouldn't say it wasn't special. And so he translates to the lama, and the lama says, let's go. The attendant is not happy now. He's not happy with me. I mean, we're friends, but he's, you know, so anyway, I finally get them in there one morning. I said, we're going to go first thing in the morning when they open. Nobody's there. Well, I know we'll just go right to those rooms. That's it. We're not going to see anything else. And we walk into the first room with the mural. The lama takes a look, maybe his realizations, and he goes, this is the medicine Buddha and his entourage. We need to take Bodhisattva vows right now. And we made 3 prostrations, got down on one knee, and, you know, took the vows, like special, right? That room will never be the same for me. And then I took them behind that room. You go up the stairs, and then to the right is this Bodhisattva room. I'm sure it's still there, unless they've changed things around. It's probably similar. And in the room are, I don't know, 20 statues, maybe. Yes, you can make a circle, go around the circle. And when you first walk into the room, you look at the statues. Sunny, I think you've been there, right? To see these statues? No, you must go. You must go. Linda probably has seen, and some of the rest of you. And what happens is when you first walk into the room, you're like, oh, all right, you know, but the longer you're in the room, you get a sense. These are, my belief is there's beings there, you know, I don't really see them, but I just, you get a feeling if you're, and the one that Pat just had up looks like one of those bodhisattvas. If you just show us for a second, Pat. Yeah. So you see some statues looking like that. Like, look at the chill of that statue. Can we pin that statue? So it's the bigger picture. I don't think I'm a co-host, but if you make me a co-host, I can.
Yes.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, do you see this statue? Can everybody see this? Okay, look at the chill, look at that. Now, that actually looks like a Gandharva, different period, but still the similar, beautiful being.
Yeah, she's a Guanyin.
Kuan Yin, okay.
Chinese. She's at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Yeah. And
Fantastic.
yeah, she's my companion.
Super, great companion to have. Kuan Yin is often the Chinese version of the Buddha of compassion, often depicted as female, beautiful. And there's different Kuan Yins. There's some standing like that. So I just wanted, so when you go in this room, you walk around and you see these different types of images. They don't all look like that, but a couple of them look like that. Some are standing, Buddha standing. I mean, enchanting. You're moved in the room. You're transported in the room. So if you can ever look at it. So then what happened was and we can come back, Pat. Welcome back. And then what happens is let me see, where's she is. When you're in there, so I was in the room, and then I took them to that room, and then there's the lama and his attendant, and then at one point I'm just walking around the room with them, and they're just looking, and we're at different parts of the room, and then finally attendant comes up behind me at one point walking, and he's like, you're right, Anila, this is very special. It's very, like, I had won him over, and then they wanted to see more. So if you can get a chance, but it reminds me looking at that Bodhisattva, very special. And that's what we'd like to do with our mind, is you're unfettered. Things go south, things go north. You're here, patient, balanced, awake, and I'm ready to serve. And I'm able to serve. And I'm not caught up in my own drama. And I'm also aware when there is drama, so I'm taking care of myself. This is the balance. This is what we have to do in samsara. And this is the best way that we choose kindness. Kindness to ourselves, kindness to others. Again, let difficulty transform you, okay? In learning how not to run away. And there's more I want to say about this. Here's my other page here. Okay. This is the value that sitting meditation practice helps you with. This can really help you, because in the sitting over and over, the consistency, then I'm lying in bed, the gunshots go off. I'm in meditation retreat and I hear voices in the backyard. Somebody juts in front of you with their car. You're afraid of somebody on the bus that you're taking. It's late at night. You think somebody's following you on the street, or you don't like your boss. You don't like your job. Your dog is sick. This is life. This is what's going to happen. So again, you can train in returning again to the unadorned present moment, again and again and again. That I'm getting used to, that beneath all the agitation, beneath the fear of I hear the gunshots, beneath the fear, the cabin is trembling, earthquake, beneath the fear of what if and what happens with this and what, and scarcity and overabundance and attachment, and beneath all that, okay, is again the unadorned present moment. That with space, empty, completely empty of any of those extremes. I'm empty of inherent nature, because then with that, as Lamia, she says, emptiness gives you the space to act. Gives you the space to act. And I would add to that, it gives you the space to act with that most generate, exquisite motivation of compassionate wisdom. That's where we want to go. That's where we want to head. So whatever thoughts arise in your mind, you regard them with equanimity, okay? And you learn to let them dissolve. I know it takes time. Please practice as much as you can, because this works. It really does work. Again, whatever thoughts arise in your mind, can I regard them with equanimity? I'm just showing up. I'm showing up with fear. This was me the other night. It wasn't extreme fear, but I was like, I don't like gunshots. I don't like guns. Look what they're doing on our planet. I don't like it. They're harming people. I don't like harm. I'm really aware of that. I'm just being honest with myself. So there I was in bed with that, gunshots. Maybe they're just shooting it off into the air. But then I went I don't like guns, and guns seem to harm a lot of people. So there I am, and I can be in my little unhappiness. But I was just there okay, this is a moment of suffering. Period. It's a moment of suffering. That's all. How many people suffer worse than this? Many. Let me just keep my heart open to my own little trajectory of suffering at this moment, to other people's greater suffering, and I can just stay balanced, stay with it, watch that moment and let it go. And how can I help? How can I help? When I'm the next person I'm in front of, how do they feel? Did you hear that the other night? Are you okay? It's okay. If you need something, I'm here. You can knock on my door. We connect. Connection, healthy connection. Equanimity, let the thoughts dissolve. There's no rejection of the thoughts and emotions that come up. Rather, you begin to realize that thoughts and emotions, they're not as solid as we'd like them to be. They're not as solid as we take them to be. Right? We solidify the thoughts, don't we? Again and again and again. But when you really look at a thought, what is it? Okay, thought, there's gunshots. And then it's gone. Then it's gone. Now, had the gunshots continued and gotten closer, then I'd have my next thing. Okay, I think I need to get up. I think I'll get up and get dressed, and I'm going to contact a couple people on the property. Make sure, then you do your next thing. You do your next work. But I can still do it from an open, spacious consciousness, not from hysteria. I call somebody and I'm freaking out and screaming on the phone and crying, that's just going to make them more upset. So can I continue to just find the balance where I'm holding my suffering so I can maybe help you hold yours? But if I can't hold mine, I'm no good for you. I'm not going to help you. I'm just going to freak out. Again, takes bravery. This takes bravery to train in unconditional kindness, friendliness. Okay? Takes bravery to train in the suffering with. That's really compassion, what it means, suffering with. To hang out there with you in your suffering. Takes incredible bravery. Okay? Takes bravery to stay with pain when it arises, to not run from it, to not put barriers up. Right? This is Bodhisattva warriorship. This is how you want to be Bodhisattva warriorship, how I want to show up. This is my armor that I'm wearing. Patience, compassion, honesty, curiosity, kindness, loving kindness. Like this is my armor. That's what I'm armoring myself with. Not fear, crippling, attachment, anxiety, hostility, pride, jealousy, depression. That's my bravery, my other armor, okay? It takes bravery not to bite the hook and get swept away in the emotion, in the hysteria, or in somebody else's pain and emergency, right? And so just staying clear and recognizing when you can the true nature of reality. There's no inherent nature to your hostility, to your pride, to your jealousy, to your depression, to your fear, because there's no inherent nature to your I. And the reason you're experiencing those things is simply previous moments of them unfurling. Previous moments, previous habits in the mind, due to an unenlightened consciousness, due to an ordinary consciousness. That's all. And I'm working on it, and you work the best you can. Okay, a couple more things I wanted to mention. At times, we're going to still feel confused and sad. You may still feel that somebody doesn't like you. And what we don't want to do in those moments is, again, think pleasant happens, unpleasant happens, neutral happens. So we have this is basic feeling of how your mind engages with feeling. Feeling is an emotion of the aggregate of feeling in the mind. According to Tibetan Buddhism, that's not emotion. It's simply pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. That's how we engage with our reality, right? And then we further discern, well, pleasant is all about this. Further explanation and description of that. And then I can either gravitate to it in a balanced way, or I can attach to it. And then the unpleasant, do I get aversion happening, or do I just moderate and move away from that and realize no benefit there, but not overly judging? Okay. So again, you've got pleasant happens, unpleasant happens, neutral happens. Okay. And what we gradually learn is not to move away, but just to be fully present with whatever is happening, And we need to train in doing this at our very basic level to begin with, okay? Because there's so much suffering in the world. Bodhisattva warrior path is you've agreed to show up for the suffering. You've agreed to help others. And samsara, everybody's suffering. Everybody suffers in some way, small, big, like that. So we train. How do we train? Inch by inch, step by step. Inch by inch, step by step. This isn't a sweeping thing. I need to be enlightened tomorrow. Well, that would be wonderful, but it's not realistic. We're going to step by step. We try, okay, in overcoming fear of pain. And we're limited at times. We're limited in helping ourselves, okay? Limited in helping anybody else. So let's just start with ourselves, to be here, to be present here and now. And that's one of the great things we can do. And then what I wanted to add, then I was just going to have a little review, is part of what keeps us in this constriction at times and the rumination is, again, how we solidify our reality so much. Again, not reminding ourselves of emptiness. So another thing you might want to ask yourself, because samsara is a groundless nature, right? When I said to you, how's everybody going with change? And a lot of people are like, no, not so good. Right? That's its nature, samsara. Yeah. And that's the one thing you can count on is change. So why not exercise and get good with it? Because it's always rolling out there. It's always rolling out there. We just got I just got a WhatsApp right before the class of an aunt of mine. She's not a blood aunt, but she was always, and she's passing away right now. And we just went into a cousins group and I know that her daughter's been in touch with us and so we've been kind of monitoring. And this is that older generation. These are people that are like touching 90 and they're all passing away. I mean, it's natural. But I'm just thinking of, the groundlessness of and as you get older, you lose more people. More people are older. And one of my friends was bemoaning this recently. I can't take it where all these people, my whole community's dying. And I'm just like, that's what I remember my parents talking about this as they aged. And how then finally my father was one of the last left. He passed at 92. And at 92, your peers are gone. And so again, but if you have your mind, and if you have your mind open, spacious, ready to embrace that and wanting to help others and engaged with that of people of any age, you can be bright. You're on your surfboard using it, catching the greatest wave all the time. You can tell I'm living in Santa Cruz County right now, right? So here's a question I would ask you from this is how can we relax? This is Pema Chodron, this quote. How can we relax, she says, and have a genuine, passionate relationship with the fundamental uncertainty, the groundlessness of being human? Because you can find a space to relax in that as you exercise getting more comfortable with change and getting more comfortable first with your pain, which will make you more comfortable with others' pain. So can you embrace the world in a sense right now with all its intricacies and suffering without bias? Can you just take in, you see a new person? Do you have judgments going out, or are you just kind of like, there's a person? Doesn't mean you need to like everybody and be best friends with them, but there's a human being there, a human being you can serve, human being you can learn from. Sometimes the more difficult human beings, they're the greatest lessons for you. But we shy away. I don't like her. I don't want to be near her. Well, there could be a huge message in there for you from that person. Doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable, but those people are going to show up all the time until I purify and perfect my mind. So I want to have some exercise with them. By looking without bias, just to take a human being on face value, who they are. Let's see how it goes, like that. So just as a reflection, we just have a quick review of what we've been through in this class. Many, many nice things. Remember the Noble Eightfold Path? Keep going with it. Ethical conduct. What's related to ethical conduct? It's divided under ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom. Ethical conduct deals with, we went through right speech. Continue, right action, right livelihood. And when you get into concentration, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And then we looked at wisdom component, right thought, and right understanding. And then we were also looking at what I call 10 ways to overcome challenges in life. Things like make a plan, work on your time management if you need to with that plan. Let's be realistic. Any kind of plan you want, whether it's just to get a new job, whether you have a plan of redesigning your living room, a plan to study a Buddhist course and finish it and get credit for it and learn to teach a subject, a plan, whatever your plan is, a new job, you want to go on retreat, you want to travel to such and such. Number 2, know you're not alone. You're having pain, you want to make a drama out of it, no need. And you're not the only one going through this. And number 3, ask for help. Ask for help. Have any of you, I'm just going to ask, I watched this the other night. Has anybody seen, it's a short animated film, it's 35 minutes long, called The Boy, the Mole, the Horse, and the Fox? Has anybody seen this little film on, yeah, Mary? Okay. So it's a little animated thing. I think it won the Academy Award for short, whatever, and it's a really sweet little, it's a sweet little 35-minute thing that, there's one passage in it where I think the horse asks the boy, or the boy asks the horse, I forget how it went. What's the hardest thing you've ever done? Or what's the most courageous thing you've ever, I can't remember how he phrases it. So it's cute the way he phrases it. And then the horse or the fox says, like, the most, difficult thing you've ever asked for, the most courageous. And then one of them says, what's the word you do? And he says, help. Like that. Like, what's the boldest thing you've ever said or something? And he says, help. When you think, so ask for help is one of the exercises I was saying, that because you're not alone. And there's people that want to help, and it connects you to other people. And we realize we're not doing this on our own anyway. We're all interconnected. Another thing is to feel your feelings in a more balanced, realistic way. Okay. Not overly emotional, but I'm also not shutting down and denying what's going on for me. Number 5 is to, if you ask for help, accept support if somebody wants to help you in a good way. In a good way. You want to help others? Okay. Can I accept support too? And can I help others? Keep that going as well. Okay. Here's some more that we haven't talked a lot about. Think big. Think big. We get stuck sometimes in the weeds. And if I could just pull back, I could go, there is a path out of here. I didn't notice because I'm stuck here. I'm just dealing with this one thing and I'm ruminating about it, and all I'm thinking about, and I realize I'm only thinking about myself, not really helping. So what if I just take a couple steps back? I suddenly have a broader perspective on it, and I can see a lot of solutions right now, and see the people that are there to help me, and see how I can help. This contributes to a positive mindset. Positive mindset. Train your mind to think positively. Some of us need more work on that. I get it. I get it. What you think becomes your reality. Like that. What you think becomes your reality. Okay. And then I would also add, a last one is never give up. Just never give up. And I was just talking with people recently, and the Land of Medicine Buddha, the LMB thing there's been some real difficulty in ways. And somebody said to me the other day, and they said, you just keep showing up, it's been like a rough road. And I'm like, I keep finding, like, this little path didn't work at one point. So I came over here, and there was a little, and then and then I went over here, and there's I'll just keep it going until sometimes you find out, nope, it's not working, but we're getting some positive results now. It's exciting. Takes time. And I found that at centers it's a lot of hard work, and it's so rewarding too when things start to fall into place, and it's more rewarding than really anything. When it goes well at centers, it can go so well. Please, any questions, comments? Any new techniques for you? Anything new to you that's helpful? You're all going to go to the Bodhisattva room at the Met. What I want to ask, if we're going to conclude then, I know first I want to thank Shanti Davis Center and Sunny. Thank you so much. And I would like to dedicate whatever merit we've created. Can it tremendously benefit our hearts and minds to help us stay present with whatever path we're finding ourselves on, as glorious and horrible as it may be, that we're finding a way to equalize all that, to balance that, so that we can keep our hearts and minds open to truly moving along this path to a place where we can benefit all living beings. Jane?
Well, first, I just want to thank you because I feel like I have gotten so much from you. Your spirit and the way you teach, it's just meant so much to me. Sometimes I wonder if I'm making any progress, but so many of my friends lately have said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And this seems to be helping you so much, and I feel like a different person, and I'm very at peace. And you have a way of teaching these things that I'm relatively new. I've taken things through All Souls with Pamela, but I've tried some different teachers and I don't always understand what they're talking about. But you have a way of speaking that I can understand. I appreciate it so much. And I just feel like you're doing great work. And thank you so much. I'm sorry it's ending. I wish this went on every week.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. I mean, I do some things for Shantideva each year, which has been really sweet. And also I will be doing some things for, there's actually a class Monday night for LMB. You can jump in, but it's going to be on the later side. Where do you live, Jane?
Ohio.
Ohio, maybe on the later side, but I think that class is 9:30 your time. So again, it's the last class I'm also doing before I leave for Laudo, but it's a drop-in Monday night. It's online and in person. So again, you can sign up through the Land of Medicine Buddha site. There will be more I'm doing for them in June or starting July and August of this year. And then I'm also going to be in Amsterdam the later part of the year teaching for them. I don't know if they have Zoom as well, because you might be able to join some of those classes, which would be earlier in your day. So you can jump in like that. And then hopefully Shantideva will do more like that if they, and so thank you so much. That's really kind. But the main thing is for you, you're doing it, and just keep continuing what you're doing. Thank you so much. So that really makes me happy. People practice. I just want to quickly share the quick dedication prayers. And what's the other thing I was going to mention? I can't remember, but let me just share some dedication prayers that we can finish with, which is really helpful. Here we go. I will share my screen and let's invest. And there's Venerable Pemo is a nun in this area we just lost, so I'd like to dedicate to her peaceful transition. Mummy Max is one of the early FPMT students who's passing away now, apparently, maybe in the New Mexico area. Lovely woman, and really like an ardent founder of helping the Lama and Rinpoche get the FPMT going. Amazing person. So for all these people and an extended family member of mine, Marcy Fish, who passed away recently, may they all find their way to a very peaceful, enlightened space to benefit all living beings, and all the beings that need additional healing, may they receive it as quickly as possible to really benefit all. And if you care, we can read together if you'd like. May this precious Supreme Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. May the precious view of emptiness, not yet born, arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. There's Rinpoche and His Holiness. And that was the other thing, is I'm lying in bed and then I just think of them. And I feel protected. I feel like they come, they help. You can always do that. Think of somebody really bigger than you that you feel, and just ask them for help. Like, say, help me, come in, for the long life for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. And the last prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. Thank you all so much. I'd appreciate any prayers you want to lend. I leave, the Laudo pilgrimage is April 30th. So I'm leaving to go over there around the 19th of April. And so please send good energy our way, that we'll have good weather and everyone will be healthy and safe. And we're really excited. So it'll be really nice. So I so appreciate, and I really hope to see all of you again. Please, if you check out amymiller.com, I'll try to post what I'm doing at different centers there as well. And right now, just because I'm based at Atlanta Medicine Buddha, you could check in the summer. I'll be back in June, July, August. I'm doing some courses here as well. I do want to let people know, if you're interested, if you've ever heard of a teacher, female, incredible, named Khandrola. So she's like Lama Zopa Rinpoche. She is at that level. She's very close with Rinpoche. She was living at His Holiness the Dalai Lama's temple. She's extraordinary. And I've met her a few times. She's utterly amazing. She's coming here June 26th or 27th for a week to teach. And she's teaching, we're about to announce it, she's teaching this kind of wisdom and compassion and giving a Tara initiation. She's never given an initiation before. So if you have any interest and you want to make a trip to California and we have rooms to stay in, we'll probably be sold out pretty quickly. You can stay in the area at an Airbnb. It will blow your socks off. She's really otherworldly. She's really pretty extraordinary. And anyway, have a look at our program and you can see, because this is a very special event that doesn't happen that often. You might want to just have a look at that. She's in the picture right here. Do you see Anna Karma Sherab Somo? That's her in the picture. Let me see. I'm going to pin that picture so you can see. Okay, do you see? Let me just see if I can get it pinned. Let me pin that again. I did the wrong thing here. Here she is. Okay, let me pin that. Okay, there she is. So that's her in the maroon and gold. And she's amazing. So anyway, thank you so much. And do check, Sunny's put some things up, recordings. Please look at the Shanti Deva programs, are phenomenal. So please do look at those. And thank you, Sunny. She's put up ways you can, if you want to make an offering. I so appreciate. Thank you so much. It really is helpful. But there, so if you're interested, and I just want to thank Sunny and Shanti Deva Center again, and thank all of you. Please be well.
Me too. Thank you, Venerable. Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Safe travels.
Thank you so much.